Hey guys, what's up? It's Erica. Welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, please make sure to subscribe. It really helps me out. I am posting every single day for the month of February, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on my videos. There might be a little bit of background noise in this video. David's dog Pebbles is chewing a bone lying on the floor right here, and there's a gardener outside. I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm gonna be talking about being a project engineer at a construction company. I've talked about my job in the past, and I still get like comments and questions about what a project engineer is and what my job is like. I feel like that I made a video recently, but I was looking and I don't think I've made a video about it in like the past year. So there've definitely been like changes with my job. Along with my personal experience, my sister and my boyfriend are both PEs as well. So I'm gonna be talking about their experiences because all three of us, even though we have the exact same job title, we all went to the same school, majored in the same thing, and work for very similar companies, our day-to-day lives look very different. And that's just kind of like the reality. I mean, it's probably the reality of like a lot of jobs. I just want to talk about all of them because if you guys are interested in the job, it can kind of give you a good idea of what it could entail. There's obviously probably way more out there of what your day-to-day life could look like, but I have a pretty good idea of like 3 different examples and day-to-day activities of people as project engineers. So I'm just gonna tell you guys about those. First, I'm gonna start off, and I just Googled what a project engineer is for a construction company. And the first thing that comes up is that they assist the project manager in ensuring that the project is completed on budget within schedule. Yeah, that's 100% what it is. Obviously though, how? What does that look like? Another thing that they talked about is to design, develop, and manage construction or repair of buildings. Again, yeah, but how? So first, I'll just talk about my personal experience. I've talked about it a bit in the past. I'm actually coming up on 5 years of working at the same company, a little over 2 years being full-time and 3 summers working as an intern. Every internship that I had with them was a little bit different. I was on different projects each time, but I'm just gonna start off when I started working full-time. I've talked about this in a few of my other videos, but when I first started my full-time job, I came into a construction project that was like already 4 years in the making, and the project was on track to finish in August, and I began in January. I was working for a construction company who had built graduate residence housing, so basically like apartment style dorms. They varied between 6 and 10 stories, and there were 4 buildings, somewhere between like 500 and 1,000 dorm rooms. I basically had to QC, which is like quality control. I was doing the punch list, which a punch list has to be done on every single project. But being on a project of this scale meant that the punch list was a lot more intensive than it is on most projects. So basically my job for 8 months was to walk through every single little apartment dorm room and turn on the lights, open the drawers, make sure the hot water was working. I had a whole system of everything that I had to check. So I would do that every single day, and I would basically log it all in an iPad, and then I would send out reports to each subcontractor basically saying like what still needed to be done, what wasn't finished. So basically for my first 8 or so months of working, I was just basically doing the punch list, making sure, contacting subcontractors, which is basically like calling and sending out emails of everything that needed to get done. I'd have to like go back and back check it. That's a part of every single project, but it would just be normally on a smaller scale, just because like this project was so large, and it wasn't even just like huge offices or huge meeting rooms, but it was like dorm rooms that each had like their own bathroom with like a kitchen. So there was just a lot of moving parts. Then once all the buildings were complete and we turned over the buildings, the contractor basically had a year of warranty items. So normally like that's pretty common when you turn over a building, or pretty much any product, there's almost always a warranty, but just because this was such a large project and on such a large scale, me and 2 or 3 other people, we stayed there for over 8 months on site. We had a little office down at the bottom of the dorms, and We would coordinate with the building managers and their maintenance people to fix things that were broken that fell under our warranty. Switched out a lot of fridges, had to contact Frigidaire a lot. Other things like heating and cooling issues, you know, cabinet drawers not working correctly, leaks under sinks. That whole year was definitely a huge side of construction, and that's just like a part of what happens with a project. But like I've said, because it was such a big job, normally, I don't think anybody would be stuck there doing that type of stuff for as long as a lot of us were. For the past year, I've been working for a senior project manager. He oversees probably 10 or 20 jobs at a time. These projects vary a lot, like locker room renovations to installing an ice maker. So they really vary on what we're doing and what I'm doing. Some ideas of like what I do now that take up my time and kind of like what I spend my time doing. I put together budgets and proposals. So let's say, for example, if somebody has an office space, they want to renovate it, maybe add some new lighting, change out the floors, new paint. So what I would do is like walk the space with them, call out subcontractors, figure out the scope, get a few bids for each scope, and then put together a proposal. First, I would put together like a budget. Then if they've approved the budget, then we can get rolling on actually completing the project. Yeah, I feel like I've mentioned this in the past, but I feel like so much of what working for a general contractor is like kind of being the middleman between an owner or somebody who's like wanting to build something and subcontractors and carpenters and laborers who are like actually doing the work. There's a lot more communication, scheduling, tracking than I had ever like imagined when I pictured like what went into building something, and that's really, I feel like, what a project engineer and just managing a construction project is really just managing costs, managing schedules, managing products. So like I said, I'm gonna touch upon what my sister and my boyfriend also do. So for my boyfriend David, he basically, since he's been working full time, he has been on the same project. It was a ground up building. He spends a lot more time in the field, a lot more time coordinating with subcontractors. They've had a lot of issues with not having great drawings, which basically means there's a lot of discrepancies with the drawings and how subcontractors are wanting to do things. And so David has to write a lot of RFIs, which are requests for information, and those either go to like the architect or the engineer. And to help expedite that process, he will propose how to fix something that, like an issue that's occurring in the field. And so he will send that in, and then they will either accept it or make a change to it or something. So my sister has been working full-time for about 6 months, and even though she is a project engineer, she's been working for the business development side. Normally going into that, you would have like a lot more years of experience, but for right now she's just been placed there to spend a little bit of time. So basically, business development works on acquiring jobs for the company. So this ranges from just like networking and maintaining relationships with builders, architects, engineers, all of that, but also bidding out possible future projects. And this is really important because when you bid a project, you want to make sure that you are giving them the lowest price you can possibly give if you want the job, and 2, that you are making sure to include everything in that bid, because if you just completely forgot a scope, but if the project had clearly outlined it and you just didn't include it in your budget, you would be held to keeping to your budget. So you want to make sure that you are foreseeing all the future problems and possible things that could go wrong and things that might not be obvious that you're gonna need to budget for, but also not being so conservative that your budget is just like way too high. So she has to write a lot of pre-bid RFIs to make sure that when they're bidding out the project that they're fully understanding the scope, the design, and everything. I think I pretty much touched on all 3 of our roles and kind of how, even though all 3 of us have the same title, we went to the same school, we majored in the same thing, our day-to-day lives look pretty different. Also just depending on what stage of the project you're in. If you're in pre-con, most likely you're not gonna be out on the site. And depending on the size of a job, or if there's even room to have a trailer, sometimes the project engineer and project manager might not even be on site. Or you'll have like one trailer that can fit like 2 or 3 people, or you will be on a project that is so big that has like huge trailers that fit 20 or 30 people. So I hope that answers some of your guys' questions. Please feel free to message me on Instagram or comment more questions on this video, and I can make another follow-up video talking about this stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow in my next video.